All right, welcome to episode 175. Hey, Noel.
175.
Yeah, 175.
Wow.
Yeah, we'll hit 200 soon.
Yeah.
Unbelievable that we've gone this long. Everyone's here but Jerry. So Gail's here, Robin's here, of course, me and Noel. It's going to snow
Yeah.
tonight,
I
right?
know.
I think like 5 inches of snow allegedly,
Yeah.
but then it'll be warm, so
Yeah.
it'll go away. What else? Anything else new?
Well, Kevin Guthrie finally got arrested.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
I had to throw that in there.
Right.
That's
And
what you get.
yeah, and isn't he he's the one that signed the letter
Yeah.
for Janelle, for the fossil, right?
Yep, fossil.
Against Saraceno, and it
Yep.
was all talking about being a Muslim.
Yeah,
right?
it was a racist article.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that now. $200,000 bail for this guy.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. So I guess
It
I guess
shows who Janelle hangs out with. Janelle and Nick D'Angelo. That's their buddy.
yeah, because they can just write a letter and he'll sign it. He
Yeah.
don't care.
Disgusting.
You know? I mean, that's what they do too. It's funny because no one ever really writes those letters.
No, nobody does.
Janelle herself or whoever they write it themselves and they go find somebody and say, hey, sign it.
Stuff like that over people's heads.
Yep.
Just like D'Angelo did with all those girls. Is either you do what I want you to do, or I'll throw your case. So these people have people in their pockets that they could do that to.
Yeah. And along with just like wacky, what do you call them, like sycophant types that are just doing. They just love them so much. And he I don't know about that guy. His mugshot.
There's so many people clowning on his mugshot.
I mean, who am I?
His ear was like half ripped off too.
I don't know.
It was weird.
But yeah, that is something that when I saw that, 'cause it's obviously I remember instantly that letter about Dominic. Anyways, Christmas is coming, and this will be our last show before. I think our next one will be till like January 8th or whatever it is, because next Monday's Christmas, and then New Year's Day. Yeah, it'd be the 8th, so we'll be back January 8th. Tomorrow night, Wednesday night, we have a special Citizens United where Dennis Hannon, who's usually on with us, or most times on with us, is going to have his own little show on Wednesday night. Actually, hold on, I can show you guys his. I have it. Let me show you his entrance music or whatever you want to call it.
That's really cool.
Let me see if I can find it. Where is it? Here it is. Wednesday, Hannon's Cannon will fire off, and we'll talk around 6:00. So join us. It'll be a special edition of Citizens United. But let's get to our guest, right?
Yeah.
We should bring in, of course, we have Katie Riford. She's here with, please let me make sure I got it. It's Christina, her sister, and Kevin are here. Let's bring them in real quick. Let me find them. Hold on a second. Here they are. Hey, guys.
How are you?
Hi.
The family here again today.
Well, we're glad. I'm glad they're here. Because there's so much we got to talk about. So much happens between, and we've been. It's only been like a month, maybe, between our shows, and
much longer because a lot has, I guess, happened since then. But yeah, that sounds about right.
I got the first question though. I want to ask you guys.
Before we go on them, something that I promised somebody that tunes into the podcast
Robin's
all the time, I would ask if anybody knows about tutors for kids, what the going rate is, how to find them. I think 4th grade.
Okay. All right. 4th grade tutor, if we can find
math.
Math,
I believe is it, and
you can do it.
Not with the wacky math they do nowadays.
I couldn't even do my kids' homework.
Yeah.
Calling the colleges and inquiring through there.
Right.
That's a good idea.
That's a good idea. All right. Good idea. Very good. Sorry, Katie and family.
Sorry, I just remembered that.
Yeah, you just erupted.
Yeah.
For tutoring too, some teachers actually do that as well, as just side money, like after school or before school. So you can always check in with like their teacher if they go to public school or private school even. to see if there's any teachers at that school who offer that. So.
Let me ask about your sister, Christina. What happened with the disorderly conduct?
I don't know if you want to explain that because you were there, if you want me to.
Well,
just,
we just,
Yeah,
I mean, I
so you can
went
see
to
your face.
court, and the judge, recused herself, from my case, and said that her reason was, that it was, what did she say? Oh, she was a witness to the events, and I used that in quote because the only event that took place was the judge losing her cool when Katie told her that she didn't have jurisdiction over her. But she
and losing her cool because I told her that we reported her bail bond fraud crimes.
And so she also said that the other judge at Heartland Town Court, Judge Minner, was recusing himself as well, but she didn't state the reason for him recusing. I've never met him, so I don't really know why he would do that. So she said she was transferring it to the Niagara County Court. Keep in mind it's a violation. So I'm really not sure what the thought process there is, except that it's going to someone in their camp. But that's where it's at right now. I have yet to receive a recusal letter from either judge and any paperwork from the court that's taking the violation now. So I'm in limbo at this point in time.
So court date was what, December 5th, right?
Right. Yes, December 5th it was.
Yeah.
And she hasn't received anything, and today's the 18th.
Yeah.
And just to remind everybody, New York State Judiciary Law Section 9, it's a law that requires judges to put in writing the reasons for recusal. You know, it was many, many months before I heard of why Gary Strankowski was recusing himself, and that was a bogus reason. When in reality, I caught him with an earpiece, and he stormed out of the courtroom, and I never saw him again. So you can kind of just see what they're pulling here. So,
I was in front of Gary before because and he wasn't wearing an earpiece when I had him.
Right, but this is the special case. So
The show he was on purpose.
And then you got to be afraid that it's like a phantom court. Like all of a sudden there'll be a date that we don't know, we'd never know. And then they say you missed a court date.
Well, didn't they do that too?
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that actually. I don't know, is that all you wanted to say about your court?
And that's what I'm afraid for Christina. Like, why wouldn't they maybe do the same thing and say, oh, there was a court date.
You have to worry about that situation being set up, which is absolutely abhorrent to think that a judge in a judicial system would intentionally set you up with the sole intention of causing harm and making you appear as though you're a criminal who doesn't, show up to court. So about the missed court date, I know, is that something that you wanted to talk about? We actually had the video, so I don't know if you want to show that first or if you wanted to talk about anything first. You let me know.
It doesn't matter if you want to talk about it first or if you want to do the video or whatever.
Maybe give a little heads up as to
I don't know if you want to talk about the phone call.
Well, so as you know, so I was arrested in the courtroom in front of court watchers on November. What was the date of my court appearance?
November 8th.
Yes, November 8th, and at the town of Heartland court. Very chaotic courtroom. As you know, I was arrested inside the courtroom by the New York State troopers who took me away twice because they illegally arrested me the first time and then brought me back. And then I had to get rearrested again illegally the second time and taken away this time to jail. Again, very chaotic. I don't really remember much of as far as dates being given. I don't think there was ever a date orally. My sister was aware of her date. Strictly because they gave her a written piece of paper called an appearance ticket that said your date is on November 28th at a specific time. I think it was like 4:00 in the afternoon, evening, whatever it's considered. I was never given anything in writing. I was whisked away. All my stuff was packed up in my bag so that I knew what was coming. So my sister would have my stuff in the bag so she can take it with her. I didn't have my cart accommodation that was stripped away from me under the guise of it wasn't working. So I didn't have proper ADA reasonable accommodations as I'm entitled to pursuant to Americans with Disabilities Act, Title II, a federal law. So again, never anything in writing. The only thing I was given was the following day inside the jail on November 9th, I was given the order of contempt, which, had a bunch of lies essentially about what the circumstances of my arrest, which the court watchers have all,
Right.
said that they disagree with what she accused me of. And it was different than what she verbally said that she was holding me in contempt for in the courtroom, which was that I couldn't sit down due to my disability. So I was given that order, the order of contempt, and I was given a copy of courtroom rules, which was the first time that had ever been given to me. Never once was there any like a notice to appear or anything at a certain date or anything like that. Right. To date, I have not heard from Heartland Town Court, in writing or any capacity since about mid-September. Okay. Wow. So, and then on the record at a previous proceeding, not the November 8th one, I believe it would have been either the September 26th or the June 13th court proceeding. I want to say September 26th, but she said on the record that she would no longer be sending mail to me certified. Which, why would you do that? Because that would be able to prove, okay, this was, delivered to you at this time. We have a signature here. Yeah. So that kind of shows what the intentions were then. So like I said, I haven't received anything. I still to this day have not heard anything that I missed a court date from the actual court themselves. I haven't, no correspondence from Heartland Town Court. I did send an email to Heartland Town Court when my brother had the public defender that they're trying to force on my case, Michael O'Keefe, called my brother's personal cell phone, left a threatening message basically saying that I would be tossed in jail because I missed an alleged court date. So I wrote a pretty lengthy letter to not only the court, but I CC'd the media on there. I CC'd the Commission on Judicial Conduct. I CC'd legislators in various parts of New York, some top judges that of the head of, the New York State Unified Court System, so that, they couldn't say they didn't get it. And I know that this email was received because I've received correspondence from various individuals and entities that it also was CC'd to. Okay. So I never received this response to that email. That email is posted on Justice for Olivia and Mason for all to see. The letter that was attached to the email is there for all to see with evidence, including the video that we're going to show right here tonight. So I don't know if you want to say anything or before he starts the video or.
Well, yeah, I mean, we could just, let's just jump right into the video, I think.
Okay. All right, here, I'll start it. Just get ready. It's about 2 minutes long is all. Here we go.
What was the date of arrest? Hello?
I'm looking. November, committed my fixed on the 8th day of November.
Okay, well, do you know where the arrest occurred?
That I don't, it doesn't say on my paperwork what day of the original arrest was.
When's the next court date?
There is no more court date.
Oh, there is none?
No.
Okay, what's your badge number?
My badge number?
Yes, sir.
1040.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, sir. This is a Attorney Michael Keith. I'm Katie's standby counsel here at the town of Heartland. We have court this morning, which I know she's aware of. It started at 10 o'clock, and the court is waiting for her to come. I'm hoping that you can get this message to her, and that you can also get back to me and let me know what's going on. Thank you. Hi, this is Attorney Michael Keith calling for Katie. We just got out of the town of Heartland court. Katie wasn't present. The judge issued a bench warrant. It'll be held until the 30th for her to address the situation. If she doesn't by then, there will be a warrant out for her. Please have her call me at your earliest convenience and call the court. I instructed Trinity not to communicate with you.
Yeah, so I mean, just to go over that a little bit, to provide a little bit more clarification. So as you guys know, my sister was arrested on November 8th in 2023 in the town of Heartland court for alleged contempt, and she was put into jail to serve a 10-day sentence imposed by the accusing judge. No trial, no jury. And so I called the Nagar County Jail on November 12th, 2023. I talked to badge number 1040, who I found out, and my family found out via FOIA request, that person's name is Kyle Uset. And so I asked Mr. Uset a series of questions like the date of arrest and like the next scheduled court date. And he said there is no more court dates, as you guys heard. And then I responded, there is none, and he said no. So essentially what happened was, after that, I left several voice messages with the town of Heartland court to inquire on the next court date. However, to date, the town of Heartland court has not called me back or responded to my voice messages. I now know why. As we have listened to, Mr. Dean Palaio of the 8th Judicial District instructed Trinity Depp not to communicate with me. Now, I want everyone to ask themselves why. Because all my calls or emails to the town of Heartland court had simply been on court-related documents, like the bail bond documents, or asking questions about the date. Now the court won't even respond to me. I find that pretty disturbing and pretty pathetic on the court's end. It's very low.
I do want to add, phone calls are extremely difficult for me, especially to courts. That's the courtrooms in general are very triggering for me, for obvious reasons of what they're doing to me for years in there. So making a phone call to these courts, I've never actually done on my own. My brother has always, called to ask when my court dates are for me, or I've received correspondence directly from the court. Back when I was arrested illegally in May in Judge Aaron DeLabio's courtroom, when I was released, they gave me a notice in the sheriff's, in the jail when I left, and it said like a court date appearance on there. Now, the thing that was really weird about that was they didn't even spell Joanne Sullivan's name right. They spelled Sullivan with one L, and it allegedly came from the court.
That's weird. Yeah.
So that seems rather sketchy.
Weird.
Yeah. So I just want to, my brother helping somebody is, my sister acts as my advocate in the courtroom, and, my brother helps a lot with, as far as making phone calls and helping me and whatnot. So that my whole family helps me, be able to, I don't know what the word, function at a equal and fair manner as somebody who doesn't have these disabilities.
I did want to just say something super quick about Judge Sullivan. I know that most people are familiar with the basics of how courts work, but when has any judge ever charged, sentenced, and instituted punishment all within the same breath.
And
It does not happen that way.
And from what I understand too, a judge isn't supposed to make a ruling on contempt when they obviously would be taking it in a personal manner. So like when I told her she committed a crime and she retaliated against me, then you know that it was done out of personal vengeance or retaliation. And judges, you know, it says it right there in the contempt laws of New York that that's not supposed to take place. And if she's going to charge me with the contempt, that she should have issued me an appearance ticket and had another judge rule on it, and that would have given me the opportunity to have a jury and to bring the court watchers who came in from the public, you know, who viewed everything with their own eyes and heard everything with their own ears, to say, well, what we heard and saw was different than what, you know, Justice Joanne Sullivan is alleging. And it's obvious that, you know, the retaliation and vengeance, you know, came into play when she made her decision.
To ask yourself why she told me that she was recusing herself from mine, because she was a witness.
Because they both,
but yet she's not recusing herself from Katie.
Yeah, because they both allegedly happened in her presence. So then she would have, you know what I mean? So why does she get, you know, an appearance ticket, but I was dragged to court and forced to spend my birthday and 10 days as a person with disabilities in court and I mean in jail. Another thing I want to say too is a judge is supposed to, when they're holding you in contempt, give you the opportunity to explain yourself so they can determine that if it's actually willful or not. I did explain, you know, it's very difficult for me to sit down because of my disabilities. It's triggering for me to sit down, which it is. And especially when my back is facing a door, you know, I was, just to remind everybody, I was arrested in Aaron DeLabia's courtroom back in May, and officers stormed in from behind and as soon as I didn't know this until I stood up and they started pulling at my wrist. So that's very triggering for me to be able to sit down. Furthermore, in order to hold somebody in contempt, there have to be, you know, evidence that my conduct prejudiced another party. Me standing there in silence, just like I have at every other court appearance proceeding in her court, does not cause any distraction or prejudice to anybody.
What was a distraction was that when the judge was charging me with what was the charge again?
Disorderly
conduct. Yeah.
She was standing. She wasn't even seated.
Court was not in session because she kept on. As soon as I told her that I reported her for a crime and whatnot, she kept on storming out. I think she only called a recess during one occasion, and it was just complete chaos. And it shows that she didn't have order or decorum of her own courtroom. So, and not to mention that court appearance was extending out for hours when it was never scheduled to even, you know, take place for that.
Notice a couple things besides the rules being on the table prior to us even coming. It was there as we walked up to the desk with the court rules. The chief of police, who usually stays for the whole thing, he left, and another police officer came to take his place, and then who we believe is Afaso, right?
We'll get into that, but yeah.
He left. So all these people left just prior.
And then that's when all hell broke loose in that courtroom.
It's almost like it's almost like they knew what was going to happen by all of them leaving.
Absolutely.
Right.
And
it was all recalculated.
One more thing I wanted to add in about that, but the date that they say that she missed was actually my sister's scheduled court date, Christina's, when she was supposed to show up, but then they changed it to December
5th.
Mm-hmm.
So in essence, to me, this appears to be a coordinated setup to make it appear that Katie missed that court date.
Mm-hmm. And furthermore, Mr. O'Keefe is standby counsel as per the judge's order, but he has never been accepted by my sister. So the fact that he's communicating with my brother about my sister is inappropriate, because it should be from the court directly.
Yeah.
And you're probably wondering how they got my brother's number. So let me go into that a little bit, just briefly. So when I was brought back from New Mexico, which I know now was a kidnapping of me from New Mexico to New York, and a fake arraignment, which I was never read my charges. And I was told it could be any felony. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, it's just
what we were going with this. Sorry, my brain.
That's okay.
You're supposed to be there.
I'm sorry. I didn't even know where you were going with it.
And what I want to ask people is, how come Katie hasn't received any mail from the court?
Yeah.
Where's the mailing to the court? So I got back on track. So during this fake arraignment, Judge Pendleton, Justice Kevin Mack asked if I had a phone number so that I could be given court date reminders. Now, from 2022 to present, none of those reminders have come. I elected to have text messages, and I don't have a phone of my own. So it's either my brother's phone or my mother's phone. And I gave both of those numbers for text communication of reminders only. And they helped themselves to that to use to, and my brother also in a previous time told Michael O'Keefe when he tried calling him that was his personal cell phone number, and the best way to reach me would be to have everything in writing. And I've let every court know that I need everything in writing, because as a disabled person, I just cannot function really on the fly on the phone. I just need everything in writing so I have time to process it and figure out, how I wish to proceed, or if I have any questions, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I gotta, and then this, what's his name? O'Keefe. He's like a public defender, I guess.
Yes, he's from the conflicts office of the Niagara County conflicts office. So yeah. So
they're gonna try. I mean, this is what I feel like. They're gonna try to use him to make decisions, I guess, without anyone knowing. They tried getting it in the transcript that he was going to be handling my case, and I caught him lying, saying that I had called him and that I told him that I want him to represent me now. So I called him out on it in court on June 13th. I called him out on it, and I said, I never contacted you. I never want you as my public defender. I even said that I would rather have farm animals on the way to my there represent me, and not because animals are unintelligent, because animals have more of a soul and exude kindness and loyalty versus these criminals. I did say that, and I also put on the record, and he had nothing to say for himself. All he did was turn bright red as a red tomato. He had nothing to say for himself. That he lied on the record that I contacted him and said I wanted him to represent me now.
When he got arrested, what did he say to you?
So when they arrested me on this last appearance, he says, "So do you want me to represent you now, Katie?" And then Justice Sullivan, after she's says that she's holding me in contempt, says, "Do you want Michael O'Keefe to represent you, Katie?" So it shows the motive of why they are doing this, so they can have this person, and we'll get into him a little bit later, to have this man who I have proof that he has connections with, the Fausto family, to have it sway to what they want, a result that they want.
A predetermined outcome.
Yes.
A
predetermined paid outcome.
Yes.
Pay, justice for pay, or pay to play.
Yeah.
So, and since she won't take him, they're trying to force him on her.
And I've said in the courtroom, the very first time that they tried presenting him to me, I said, this is harassment. I don't feel comfortable. I don't want him. And I don't know, John, if you're able to pull up that piece of the transcript that I sent you. It's just that, just a small thing. I wanted to show that right now while we're on the thing. This is from the June 13th proceeding. This is basically the first time I was at Heartland Town Court in person. She tells me, the judge, "Ma'am, sit down." I say, "I feel comfortable standing up." At that time, I didn't get into the disabilities because it wasn't necessary. And she says, "Okay." So we went, there was no issue with that then. Then she goes, "You are proceeding pro se. You do not need to speak with him. He will remain in the courtroom. So she's telling me, Justice Joanne Sullivan is telling me that I do not need to speak with Michael O'Keefe. And that's been the way it has been. I will never ask him for legal advice. I will, so.
Right. Yeah. Because they have him, if they can get him involved, right? They have Caffarella being right? He's the kid's lawyer, isn't he?
Right.
So they really have, they're really,
I've denied public defenders in every venue from in family court, in this court, because it's not a matter of, can I get my own attorney or not? If I really, wanted to go that route, I would, but that's not an option for me at this point in time. I consider myself representing myself to be the best option for me. And I think I'm doing pretty well under the circumstances. I researched the law, I can stand up there and I can, present my arguments. I can file court documents as needed to, create a paper trail of the truth. And I don't need this person. They want it to sway the case, and it's not going to happen.
And they want control. Either through a public defender or a hired attorney, because a hired attorney drains funds and they do very little when told to stand down. And she's proven that with 2 lawyers she had previously, and a public defender who she never even applied for.
And as you can see, when I wasn't there, he used that as an opportunity to put a complete lie. That's it's a violation of the American Bar Association, rules and what they take their oath for, to be honest and whatnot. So if he could do that, what else is he capable of doing?
It's unbelievable because. It's just crazy. I mean, every time there's another layer. He's just another layer to fight. There's always some more. I feel like every time we talk, there's another barrier. There's another person to fight.
They try to, when they see that we're, gathering these golden nuggets and they're further incriminating themselves, they try to add this, like you said, another layer to further either complicate things or a barrier to getting justice. But it's it is what it is. In the end, all these people are incriminating themselves, and it just shows. So if Michael O'Keefe, he's already shown that he's part of this child trafficking, syndicate. So that now incriminates him into this. Yeah. So if they want to step up and do that, go ahead, because we're going to find out, and get evidence against you that's going to incriminate you and tie you up into all of this, and it's not going to be.
But I do want to touch on one thing. I'm not sure how far along you were going to talk about Judge.
Oh yeah, we're going to go to that. But let's go to the next topic if it's okay, just because it's maybe 6:30ish.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I think the next thing we were going to talk about is I don't know how to say her name exactly, her last name. So Trinity Depp, she was the one. Yeah, that's the one right there where it says she's the court clerk. She also basically implicated herself and tied herself into the bail bond fraud by admitting that when she said we're in constant communication with the bail company and whatnot. Now she's magically on maternity leave, and they have this new person who Trinity has allegedly been training. Her name is Brenda, either Cholene, or I've also seen it pronounced Shane Lee when I looked up how to pronounce that name. But I don't know if you want to talk about her first or play the video.
Yeah, so I could just talk about her a little bit here. So Brenda Cholene, she's a new hire at the Town of Heartland Court, and she was recently hired to temporarily replace court clerk Trinity Depp, who is taking a 4-month temporary leave from her position as court clerk. And so I recently found out that a court watcher's affidavit was filed at the Town of Heartland Court regarding Katie's case. However, I found out that Miss Cholene acted as if she didn't know how to file the documents. It was like it was new to her. Miss Cholene constantly, repeated she was new. It took her nearly actually 15 minutes to even accept the documents. And apparently she was making phone calls and sending text messages to figure out, how to file the documents. And she was interrogating the person who was, filing the court affidavit of who they were.
Which is not relevant to
which isn't
filing.
relevant to filing, because she did ended up actually doing it. So if you're going to file it, why would you even need to know the person who was doing it? I also want to let you guys know that Miss Cholene, even though she stated she was new multiple times, we actually found out through a FOIA request that Miss Cholene was a part-time court clerk at the town of Lockport Court for approximately 5 years, I believe, from about 2017 to 2022, November of 2022.
Now, I was going to say one thing about the dates. So I don't know, when you are involved in this, deep of corruption and, working with criminals, you look at dates and whatnot. And so she started in 2017, which is when the child custody case had commenced. And then she said that she was taking an early retirement from Lockport in November of 2022, which would have been the time that things got wrapped up at the Wheatfield Town Court, right before it got transferred over to Heartland Town Court. But that's what I wanted to say about that.
But I also want to add that she has no other court experience besides what on her LinkedIn says that she has banking experience.
Right. Her resume is accessible on Google, and you can see, and it's all banking.
There's no previous court experience, and the fact that she started the same year as my sister's court date, and the fact that she ended it at the end of Wheatfield is very suspicious to me. And the fact that if she did work part-time in the courts, she would have some general knowledge on the basics of accepting court documents.
Yeah, so when you accept a court document, that's one of the most basic elementary tasks that a court clerk would do. It's they have the stamp that says either filed or received and stamped. They give, if you have 2 copies, you keep one, they give one. That's something that I could teach, to do. But yeah, so if you want to keep going with what you were saying.
Yeah, so we could just listen to the audio and see what Miss Cholene was saying.
All right, here, I'll play it.
I'm new. I don't know. I'm not too familiar with it, so I'm new. I'm going to have to ask about it because I'm new. I can try to get a hold of her and ask her what stamp do I use. I don't know if the girls would know. Yeah, yep, I don't know who she is. She won't tell me who she is.
So apparently she came out of retirement to work at the town of Heartland for 4 months. And I just want to say about that is I find it very disturbing that she allegedly didn't know how to do it, but has 5 prior years experience.
But didn't you call the courts and nobody knows who she is?
I did call the court and no one did know who she was.
So I don't know if this is somebody they had working remotely and
having
access to my sister's records, and maybe it's true that they didn't know who she was because she maybe never even went to the office. I have no idea, but it's very suspicious.
And you have to ask yourself, if she doesn't even know how to do a basic filing of an affidavit, don't you find that concerning that they're leaving her in a court clerk's office alone?
Yeah, she can't even stamp anything. She can't find it, let alone do it. It's not even available to her. The stamp.
It should be in their top drawer.
Right.
Yeah. It's just very disturbing because if she does, the incorrect thing, then court documents need to be processed the correct way. So the fact that she's being left there by herself to do that, if she truly doesn't know how to do it, is disturbing.
And as you said, John, before, another barrier.
Yeah.
So now we can't even do those things now because they have this, clerk that supposedly doesn't know what she's doing.
And the individual who was filing that court watcher affidavit had to basically instruct her, Brenda, how to do it.
Do it, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's nuts. I mean, it is just this is like it's a circus. How the hell did she did it? You heard her say, "I don't know. I don't know." It was almost like it was almost comical.
And then she does laugh. She laughs throughout that.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't funny. So what are you gonna do? Just make poop. Here's a few files out. Sorry, I'm new. I didn't know that. They just had to go in there.
Right.
Is there anything else that you want to say about Brenda?
That's pretty much it at this point.
Brenda.
I mean, Jesus, these people, Brenda. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So, I guess the next thing we're going to talk about is the appeal fraud. Now, I'll remind everybody that we had, on the previous podcast right here on Citizens United, we talked quite in length about this appeal where I filed 4 separate appeals for 4 separate Heartland Town Court appeals. They were filed in Niagara County, the clerk's office, over the summer. And, we showed the chart to everybody that shows that county court is the one who handles town court appeals, not city court. But yet they had my case going to Niagara Falls City Court. One of the things I argued the day I got arrested back last month in Heartland Town Court was that I asked Justice Sullivan for the second time, why is my appeals being handled at Niagara Falls City Court? Couldn't answer. She shrugs her shoulders. I don't know. Yep, there's Joanne Sullivan. Yeah.
She doesn't look miserable.
Yes, she looks miserable, ex-miserable. Basically, that she is in this because she accepted some kind of monetary reward, promise, gain, something along the lines to keep this case in her court. So when I was arrested back last month, November 8th, my appeal was supposed to be handled by the 15th. Now, I reached out to the 8th Judicial District asking Kevin Carter. He basically said, generally speaking, it's handled in town court. Yes, I know that. So then when I further asked, more information about it, because I was trying to get down to the bottom of my, why I was being denied the right to appeal town court orders, he has his minion, what's his name? Brandon Portis email me back and essentially say that to lawyer up essentially, and that he's not going to answer any legal questions. That's not a legal question. That's a procedural question in which the 8th Judicial District would definitely have the capabilities to handle and make sure that my appeal is being handled in the appropriate court. And if it's not, they'd have the ability to fix that. Okay. So it kind of shows that they knew what was going on. The 8th Judicial District, I believe, with the evidence that I have, is aiding and abetting all of this, child trafficking, the kidnapping of my children, and their and aiding and abetting in the covering up of this. So I was in jail, obviously, on November 15th, the day that the appeals was supposed to be perfected, which obviously I couldn't do because it was in the wrong venue and I had nobody to fix it with because everyone was like, oh, not us. And then I was in jail. So on November 3rd, I would say probably December 1st or 2nd, I get a letter that said, dated, not a letter, an order that's dated November 30th. And it has a signature from Diane Vitello, who is, as we know, a Niagara Falls City Court judge. They try to pass her off as an acting county court judge, but we'll get into that as to why she wouldn't be able to handle that even as an acting Niagara County judge. I want to give a little bit of a background about Diane Vitello because I wanted to know a little bit about her and why she would be willing to, stick back into all of this. So just to give a little bit of a brief background on her, like I said, she's the Niagara Falls City Court judge. That Vitello is her maiden name. Her married name is actually, I don't know if I'm going to say this right, Tuma.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh. No way. That's Nikki.
Listen to this. So she's married to Craig Tuma, who's a personal injury attorney, and he was also the former campaign manager for the former Niagara Falls mayor, Paul Deister. Okay. And Diane Vitello is childhood friends with Paul Deister. I learned this because he admits that, they've known each other since childhood and they've been friends ever since then. Paul Deister was the one who gave her temporary position as Niagara Falls Court back in, I believe it was, I don't think I wrote it down somewhere around here, but it was the time when now former Judge Robert Restaino was removed from his position because he jailed 46 people in his courtroom. And then so they needed to replace him really quickly. So Deister pretty much put her in that position. And a lot of people speculated at that time that it was politically motivated, which he, of course, denied. So she was a former Niagara County DA's assistant district attorney. So she previously worked at the Niagara County District Attorney's Office as an assistant DA from the year 2002 to 2006. And she prosecuted domestic violence and felony cases. She also has a partnership with the Catholic Charities Domestic Offenders Program. And I know there's some controversy with her from last year because she released an 18-year-old man facing charges from a shooting. And she said that electronic monitoring was good enough. And she let him out of jail with no bail and just with an ankle monitor and probation. Well, I don't know if while the trial was, in the imminent future, but so a lot of people were upset about that. I don't know. Should we play the video and then get more into her, or?
Yeah, I think so.
Can you play the Vitello?
Yeah. All right, here we go.
I'm just wondering about a general court, policies and procedures, I guess you could say. And I'm just wondering, are town court appeals ever transferred or heard by Niagara Falls City Court?
I've never heard of that.
Hi, I have a few questions. Is Diane Vitello, is she acting Niagara County Court judge?
She is, but she's on extended leave currently.
What do you mean she's on extended leave?
She's not currently on the bench. She's out.
Okay, so when did that start?
I don't know the exact date.
Within did it start this month, that last month?
I believe it's been a couple months now.
Been a couple months. Okay, and I have a other question. So if she's an acting Niagara Falls, acting Niagara County judge, how does the court determine what cases she hears?
We have drug court here, and she hears those cases because those are for county court.
So what is the acting county court judge?
It gives them, let's say it could be potentially be not necessarily in this county, but so here we have our city court judge. She has acting county court status because she handles some matters over here for us. And she handles all of our treatment courts and things like that.
Yeah, so oh, sorry for interrupting you, but I guess I'm wondering, what does an acting county court judge handle? Like you said that they handle stuff for you.
County court matters. Like our here specifically in Ontario County, our city court, San Diego City Court judge, it has acting county court status. She handles all of our treatment cases. She can also preside over a criminal matter if need be.
Okay. She handles treatment. Sorry, by treatment, do you mean drug cases? Is that what you're talking about?
Yep.
Okay.
Felony treatment court, misdemeanor treatment court, our mental health track, our veterans track.
Yeah, and so would an acting county court judge ever handle an appeal?
Not to my knowledge here, no.
Yes, I was correct. Appeal at town court goes to city court.
Oh, that's not what I was told. Can I have your name?
No, you cannot.
Can I have your first name?
And that end part there where it said appeals on there, that's right from the judge's manual of the New York States, and it says exactly where appeals go. Town court appeals do not go to or aren't, going to be handled by Diane Vitello. As you heard that lady say, county court, what's that called? Acting county court judges, they don't handle appeals.
Right.
Yeah, so back with that too, if it hypothetically, let's play devil's advocate here. Let's say, which Kevin said, it's impossible. You can't, an acting judge from city court can't come in and handle appeals. Right. It's a whole different entity, which she's probably not even trained to do. That doesn't explain why my appeal paperwork always came from Niagara Falls City Court. It would have still had the Niagara County Court, letterhead and paperwork.
Right.
You know what I mean? It wouldn't be coming with Niagara Falls City Court and all the judges on there, and it wouldn't have Deanna Mazer signing it, the court clerk of the Niagara Falls City Court. It would have the Niagara County Court clerk sign her name there. So yeah, and then one thing I wanted to bring up too with that is, and I forgot when we were talking about Diane Vitello is, so I mentioned her husband is Craig Tuma. So I found some obituaries, which kind of connected some families with me, and Noelle's going to probably know this, and she's connected. Diane Vitello is connected with the Nick D'Angelo family because his mother, Catherine, I think she goes by Kathy. Her maiden name is Tuma or Toma.
She still uses it too, when like in papers when she sued me, she puts her name down as Catherine Tuma D'Angelo.
Yeah, so she still uses that name as like you said, Tuma D'Angelo. And like I when I was looking at obituaries, that D'Angelo's mother is in the same thing that like Diane Vitello and her husband are in. So they're connected. Okay. Yep. So Vitello has a familial, how do you say it? Like when you're a family relation, familial relation with the
Nick also worked on Diane Vitello's campaign.
Right. So, and as we know, Nick D'Angelo has, history with child trafficking, working as a past attorney for CPS and all of that stuff, or horrific stuff that he's done.
Yeah. And the other thing I want to say about that is, we just heard that the lady from the Niagara Falls City Court, the clerk, say that Diane Vitello was on leave for the last 2 months. So I made that call in December. So how is she signing?
She didn't sign it though.
Yeah. So that if you look, is there a way to enlarge on that video those orders? No. Okay. I could probably it'll probably be shown on Justice for Olivia and Mason up close. Okay. But on those orders, it's a stamp. It's not even, that's my phone. It's not even like, what do you call it?
Like a signature.
Yeah, it's not like an actual signature of a judge. It's a literal stamp. Then top it off, this is going to blow everybody's mind. I got one from the Niagara Falls City Court, an order from that had Diane Fitello's stamp. That one said that I was, it was, I don't have it in front of me, but basically that, give me 1 second. It was regarding, what do you call it? Appeals from the town of Wheatfield. Yeah. It wasn't Wheatfield Town Appeals, no. It was Heartland Town Appeals. So then about a week later, I get an order that looks almost identical from Brian Seaman at the district attorney's office. That says the correct one now. It says Town of Heartland. We noticed though that their stamps are completely in different spots. There's noticeable like distinction of that's not aligned the same. And then one says like Katie Riford pro se, one doesn't. There's different like spacing. So they both tried pawning off this, what we believe to be a fake appeal order. And they're not even the same. Right. So
it's crazy.
It is. Yeah. So now this appeal, what is, let me ask you, because I just got to go back for a second. The appeal that you originally you were appealing. Tell me again, what was the appeal?
Well, there was 4 appeals for 4 different orders. One of them was which she was trying to force the public defender on me using some law that did not apply to me. Like, I don't know, it was like
I remember
hygiene law or something to that effect. So that was one. Another one, well, 2 of them had to do with the Americans with Disabilities accommodations, one of which I had requested virtual appearances and she denied it. Now think about this. When she was trying to force me to sit down in the court and I told her I couldn't because of my disabilities. Now, if I was given the right to appeal that, they may have, said that I could have virtual appearances, and that whole occurrence would have never happened where I was jailed based on, discrimination of, disability discrimination. And then those were some, and then it was like an order basically saying I had to have certain things turned in at a certain time frame, stuff like that. They were small. I mean, the disability thing was probably like is big because that's discrimination, but they weren't it wasn't like, when you get sentenced and you're appealing your sentence or anything like that. Yeah. So they were just orders that she made.
It just seems like we're never, ever, or not we, they are never going to allow it to get to the point where evidence will be shown. Like, there's
one of the things I argued was when I got arrested was that they're withholding records. They've admitted to not having anything at all from 3 different, times I went there looking for help in 2018 prior to me being forced to leave to protect my children. They don't have it, and it's law. There's a New York State County Law Section 700. It states that the Niagara County District Attorney, which would be Carolyn Wojtasic then, and then Brian Seaman, they're required to maintain that, and not just make it go poof. That's called spoliation of records. That's a crime.
But you mentioned that she'll never be able to show her evidence, and that's a very good point, because people who have engaged in crimes and are covering those crimes up, of course, they're not going to let you present that evidence. And this actually happened many years ago. And I'm just going to say a quick few things about our judicial system has been hijacked. And you have to ask yourself, well, by who? And a lot of people it's coming to light that there are a lot of people in high positions that are active Freemason members. I'll give you a couple examples. The mayor of New York City, Eric Adams, it's public. He is a Freemason. There's other examples of people who are affiliated with Freemasons. Kathy Hochul donated $6 million of taxpayer money to a Masonic research center in Utica. These people have a lot of power, and they've taken these very high positions, judicial positions, so that they can do this very thing, where they can control who's allowed to come forward with evidence and who's not. And I want to say very quickly, a man named William Morgan back in the 1800s was kidnapped and murdered for threatening to expose what the Freemasons were doing. And it was actual people in positions of law enforcement and public officials who engaged in that actual act of kidnapping and murdering him. And it sparked a movement called the anti-Mason movement or anti-Masonic movement, where people were on to how much power these people had, and they were absolutely disgusted by it. And I truly believe that that's where we are again all these years later. We're back where our judicial system has been hijacked by Freemasons. 15 of our presidents were Freemasons. Our very first president was a Freemason, George Washington. It's been a part of our society for so long, and no one even knows it because it's so secret. But I truly believe that we're getting to a point where the truth is going to come out about what happened to my sister and her children, and that it was at the hands of people who supposedly do good things for the community who are covering up their crimes. And it's horrible. But I just want to say quickly about their they take oaths to themselves, to their Freemason society. They'll take that oath, and that oath supersedes any oath they take as a police officer, as a judge, anybody who takes an oath of office. Their oath as a Freemason takes precedence over anything else. That's why we're seeing what we're seeing. My sister recently found out Judge Kevin Carter doesn't.
Yeah, I think I sent you the image of that one.
Yeah, let me see. Yes. This, right?
Yes. So as you can see right here, I received this. I don't know if she's in here. The person that obtained this. I'm not going to say who it is unless she wants to be, revealed for that. But what you're seeing here is that Kevin Carter, who is the 8th Judicial Administrative Judge who oversees all the courts here in Western New York, he hasn't had an oath on file since after 1998 and continuing through when this was obtained on the 11th of 2023. So what, that's 25 years?
Wow. And so you have to ask yourself.
It's a law that you have to have that oath on file or your position is considered vacant.
So does he have an oath with somebody else outside of the court that we're not even aware of? And this is where I'm going with this, is that these judges, they're taking oaths, but not to we the people.
They're supposed to be taking oaths to, that's based upon the Constitution of our country, the United States of America, and an oath to our state, the state of New York.
But the Freemason oath is an oath to themselves to protect themselves. And I think that we need to not only expose the corruption, but to say enough's enough and condemn this type of behavior, because we the people are not free. We are not free right now. We think we're free because we're allowed to move around and, we own a house or whatever. But if you see this level of control that's been over my sister's case since day one, you can see that we're not free.
I believe that the Niagara County District Attorney's Office and then Niagara County Sheriff's Office are the main entities that are controlling this whole, what's happening to me, what's happening to my children. You know what I mean? And they're the ones who instruct these judges to do what they're ordering them to do.
I just want to add in, if I could really quick, that I just find it greatly disturbing that the court hasn't reached out to my family to let anyone know, including myself, that the bond was fraudulent. I find it very disturbing that they know it's fraudulent because the surety company wrote a letter to them, and you would think that they would have an obligation to, you know, tell whoever paid for it or tell the person who the bond was supposed to be issued for that, hey, that bond is fraudulent. So, you know, you might want to, you know, report it or something like that. Nothing from the court, from Town of Heartland Court, nothing from the 8th Judicial District. So it's pretty much they're pretending that
a crime wasn't committed.
No, go ahead, Gail. Go ahead.
Katie, why do you think you've been targeted this way, you and your 2 children? Why do you think that they've come after you?
Because a family in Massachusetts, the Dyer Bakerleys, wanted to take revenge on me. How do you do that? You take her children and you pay for that to happen.
But all these people are connected in a network, and that I think is my point in all of this. This wasn't all just random people who just collectively decided to work together.
This is a well-oiled child trafficking, you know, syndicate from law enforcement, judges.
The private investigator that was hired by the family was hired to actually harass, intimidate, instill fear. He came to my in-laws' house and stated to my in-laws that, you know, just horrific things, that he's recovered hundreds of children over the course of his career, and he has a multi-million-dollar business. That doesn't happen from working for single mothers who are trying to protect their children. No. That comes from abusers who are paying top dollar to come and steal children. And it is called kidnapping. And just trafficking. Because you use a court to try and legitimize it doesn't make it legitimate. It does not. And
Natalie, real quick, I want to read. She says this is the satanic cult and secret societies that are taking our children. My son was taken by the sheriffs and one of their ex-sheriffs. They all must be removed. Not one person elected has stopped the corruption. If no oath exists and no bond, then no order is valid. It's all void. This is also torture of our most protected mothers and children.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And if you look into human trafficking, women and children are this is happening to them. It's not happening nearly as much to men. It's happening to women and children, the most vulnerable in our society. And just to tell you that the Freemasons are all men. They do have offshoots of them that are women, but these people have gotten so out of control with their power that they think that they're God. They think they're above God. And so now we see what we're seeing with my sister's case, that when someone pays for a predetermined outcome, it's going to happen no matter what.
And because we were exposing them, we're, you know, showing what they've done. We're staying grounded and moving forward and not budging. That's further retaliation against us.
But it's beautiful in one sense, because it's exposing just how layered this is, how far it goes. It is a problem. And if anyone thinks that, oh, it's just Katie's problem, they're wrong. It's going to be every single one of our problems if we do not fix it and we do not condemn this.
Yeah, it's going to come to a child near you, though, and your family.
And I think it's been going on for a long time, because, you know, people, you know, single mothers, whatever, they can find the right vulnerable person. This just goes very easily, I assume. You know, how many thousands, I'm sure it's just gone. Like, what are they going to do? If you find a single mother who's alone, who has no family, it's over. I mean, they're done. And I would assume that's gone on for decades.
Yeah, it's like when an alligator gets their victim, it bites down really hard, and they do that quick rolling in the water, steamroll them, so they don't even know what's happening to them. But in this case, it didn't work.
Think about it. They want to they want to make it a point. This is what I feel sometimes with the mothers, or in these situations. You can have your freedom if you leave your children alone. Like, you see what I mean? You can be free. We won't put you in jail. We won't put you in prison no more.
Yeah, just if you walk away and
walk away.
To traffic your children, and then you never see your children again. If you can accept that fate for you and your children, then yes. I'm not.
No.
Okay? But do these sound like people that have God in their life and are doing genuinely good acts? I mean, you could donate all the money in the world to a Boys and Girls Club, but when you're doing this,
You can donate all the money to Boys and Girls Club. You can donate all the peanut butter and jellies and turkeys that you want. You're still a criminal. A criminal is a criminal is a criminal.
What I find in my research is a lot of these people operate under something called like philanthropy, where they make big donations. But in reality, a lot of these alleged, great philanthropists are committing, crimes behind the door and using their philanthropy as a veil, aka a cover, to hide those crimes.
Yeah,
that's all I'm gonna say about that.
But the donations, though, I just want you to be aware that when you're donating, these groups are donating, Freemasons are donating, that's their way of controlling those organizations. For example, there is a group called the Zanta Club in Buffalo, and it actually started in Buffalo. You can do some research on that, but it's worldwide now. And they donate to the Family Justice Center. That's where we went with my sister in the very beginning for help. And
before I was forced into hiding.
Initially, they were very receptive until they got a phone call, and then the whole mood changed. And it was because these Freemasons and their offshoots contacted this group and said, you are not helping this woman. And so they determine who gets help and who doesn't. That's not how it works. That's not how it's supposed to work. You do not control other people. And if you are, then we're slaves. Then that's what we are. This is called slavery. This is called human trafficking. And it has to stop. It absolutely has to stop. Because if you don't stop it, then none of us will have our children at the end of the day. None of us.
And I want everyone out there sometimes to think about what's going on Katie's case. There's never anything. Like, you know what I mean? There's never we never have a trial. We never have anything. Nothing ever goes to its end. Right. Everything just starts. Goes away.
We're looking at close to 2 years now, and on March 2nd, that's 2 years since my children have been kidnapped.
They're keeping her in limbo in hopes that the years that have gone by are going to wear on her and her family, and that we're going to give up. That's their only option at this point, because they learned their lesson with William Morgan when they kidnapped and murdered him, that, hey, so many people know about this, that if we did that, it would look pretty bad. So now their way is something called a death by 1,000 cuts, where they're going to continue to drag my sister through various courts, and we're going to be in front of the FASOs, and they're going to continue the charade of this being a real case. And just so you know, Judge Sullivan wrote on her fake order that wasn't stamped, sealed, anything, that we said the court is a sham. We never said the court is a sham. We said the case is a sham. So you see that when you change the words, change the meaning, and then you make us look like we're
we don't respect the court.
That we don't respect courts. I respect people who take an oath to the profession that they chose and are serving the people, not serving secret societies who are running amok and following Satan or whoever else they're believing in. I believe in the police. I believe in law enforcement. I think there's good police out there, but there are members of Freemasons on these different police forces. There's a fraternal order of police, which is another faction of Freemasonry. Yeah. But people don't know it exists because you're not going to know unless you look for it. And I've done a lot of research on it. I could do
and you're not gonna
podcasts.
You're not gonna look for it unless you're in a situation.
Yeah, like we are. Exactly.
Well, yeah, they lull us all to sleep. I mean, in a way. I mean, even politically, the whole thing. We're all asleep. You know, everyone for decades now, for a year. But I mean, more than decades, right? Hundreds of years, just asleep. Why wouldn't we're made to be asleep? You know what I mean? Like, buy what you can set. I own a home. I got a car. I got whatever. Everything's fine.
Yes.
And if it doesn't come to my doorstep, I don't give a damn.
Right.
And we got to start caring.
But we should, because you know what? We're all in this together.
Yeah.
We're all in this. And I pray every day that more eyes are open to what's going on, because we can't.
And I've always said too that, you know, it's not just about me and my children, Olivia and Mason, it goes far beyond. So by helping, you know, me and my children with this situation, it's going to help so many, because these people, these criminals are going to be held accountable and taken out of their positions and not able to traffic children anymore. So that, and if we could, I know it's getting probably close to the time we have to wrap up, but I wanted to kind of just briefly talk about Faso. If you can show that one picture of him, the one where from the side profile.
Sure thing. Let me grab it.
So this man right here, this is Niagara Falls City Court judge, which is where my appeal was fraudulently sent to. He's also the 8th Judicial District Supervising Judge for Niagara and Orleans County for Town and Village Courts. This man was at the November 8th, 2023 court appearance at Heartland Town Court, in which I was illegally arrested. A court watcher witnessed him, and a court watcher witnessed Faso, Jim, they call him Jim Faso for short, I know, talking with the public defender, Michael O'Keefe, for approximately 15 minutes at that court appearance. So we can already see the agenda that Michael O'Keefe has, the connections that he has with Faso. We know that James Faso is connected with what I like to refer to him as the Faso crime family. He's okay. So the man in the like goldish yellow jacket, that's John Faso. That's Judge James Faso Jr.'s brother.
Is that the one that was killing the dogs?
Yes, he worked at SPCA. He was removed from his position because he was unnecessarily euthanizing dogs when they didn't to be euthanized at all, and he also for mistreatment of animals. Then we have Janelle Faso, which we all are familiar with her and her connections with, you know, now disgraced former attorney Nicholas D'Angelo, who was found guilty on multiple counts of rape, and also did he ever have his hearing for the election interference? January. Okay, so he has that. So now we know her connection with that. Then we have
just quickly, she's a Rotary Club member, which is another offshoot of Freemasonry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Just like her brother.
In the judge's attire, we have now recently retired Judge James Faso Sr., who was a judge at the Town of Niagara Court, and he's no longer, you know, presiding as a judge there because he retired. And then at the end here in the black jacket, we have Judge James Faso Jr., who was at my court appearance. Now, look at that man. Now, does that not look like a child trafficker to you? Because to me, that's my first gut instinct. He was there. He was present. He was sitting in the section of the courtroom where the jury would sit. The judge, Justice Sullivan, kept looking at him at multiple times during the proceeding. When my sister, during her, appearance on December 5th, asked her who that was, she said she didn't know. There's no way that Judge Sullivan didn't know who that man was. Okay, he didn't know that we knew. I also asked. I very rarely talk to the man, the O'Keefe, and if I do, it's never a legal question. But I asked him that day who that man was, and he goes, "Do you want me as your attorney or not?" And he refused to answer who that man was. It was definitely 100% James Faso Jr. Now ask yourself, why would he need to be there that day? Why did he leave early? You know, like shortly.
Nothing but to get more cocaine.
Yeah, I think he went there to probably intimidate Justice Joanne Sullivan to make sure that things were going the way he wanted them to go, and it didn't work out that way. I mean, aside from me being illegally arrested, but you know,
the forcing of O'Keefe or whatever his name is on you is unbelievable. The fact that that's just not stopping, like you've said enough times, you don't want him.
Yes, it's documented. I've submitted, court documents saying no O'Keefe, no public defender, nobody. It's me, pro se. I'm representing myself. Every court that this has been, even family court. I said, I'm representing myself. They've tried numerous times to get people on my case in different venues. There was Connie Lazinski and they tried forcing her on my case in Wheatfield and somebody else. I don't remember.
She was trying to represent Nick's sister for me.
Yeah. So as you can see, these people are all connected. These are all.
I did call her a human trafficker too, and I told her to stay away from me because she smelled like mothballs.
The names are just, but unfortunately, my name is what it is, and these names when they keep coming out, there's so much going through my head, I can't even. Believe me, I've seen more than I've ever wanted to see.
Yes, I was paying for these people to come every court visit to sit there and do nothing except waste taxpayer dollars.
Yeah,
it's insane to me that it's allowed to occur.
And then I was going to say about Jafaso as well is that he ran for election at the same time that Aaron DeLabio did for family court. So they both got put into their positions, to do this child trafficking at the same time. So yeah.
Yeah. Where is she at? Why am I missing her? Oh, there she is.
Child trafficking judge, family court judge, Aaron DeLabio, who trafficked my children, Olivia and Mason. She signed an order that trafficked them.
If anyone reviews any of the transcripts with that particular judge, their mouth should be on the floor for some of the things that she has done and said to my sister. I am still amazed when I think about the hate in that woman.
And I know that I am not her only victim. Other people, other women, other fathers have reached out.
Her attorney told us that her law clerk had it out for her, but never once did he report that to anybody to basically say that that was a bias against his own client, that his client was never going to get fairness in the court if the law clerk, Deborah DeWitt Walker, was ever going to, so I'm just saying, like, as an attorney, you do your due diligence for your client and you report that. You don't just sit there and pretend it's not happening.
Yeah.
One more thing I just kind of want to put out there just because it's really important to me.
Yeah.
So I just want people to know and understand, which I'm pretty sure most people who've been following my situation know, that whether I went into hiding or not, what happened, the trafficking of my children was predetermined before I went into that courtroom for the first time, which ended up being in January of 2018. Me being forced into hiding to protect my children, that wasn't a consequence of that. It was going to happen that way regardless. The only difference is that you all out there know about my situation to the extent that you do, had I not gone into hiding. I mean, I never expected all of this to happen the way it did. It's not like I went, I'm going to go into hiding and I'm going to come back to, being known for this. No, but what I'm trying to say is that was a predetermined decision before I stepped foot into Aaron DeLabio's courtroom for the very first time. It's that I now have the advantage that you all know about what the horrific criminal things that happened to my children, family, and I.
One thing I'll say is the day that they brought you through the airport, remember, and all the cameras are there, and you said what you said. That was they were told right there. They were put on notice. You're not going away. This isn't going to be easy, like they were hoping. Because I think they were going to try to probably hold.
I think it was going to be easy because when my children were first taken from me, kidnapped from me, and I was tossed in the Bernalillo County jail over in New Mexico, I was in a lot of shock. A complete state of shock and grief overwhelmed me. I don't even, I was just kind of putting one foot in front of the other. Because imagine having your children that are with abusers taken from you, that you didn't even get to say, like, goodbye, I love you, hang in there, I'm going to be fighting every day for you. They're gone now, and you're tossed into a cell, okay, where I was in solitary confinement most days for up to 23, 24 hours a day. I had nobody to talk to. They prevented me most of the time from communicating with my family on purpose to torture me, okay?
Who gets put into solitary confinement?
They wouldn't let me talk with the anybody there to get legal advice whether I should sign for me to get extradited back or not. So I didn't know if I was making the right decision. And to be honest, I was in such a state of, grief that I couldn't have made that on my own. But I had to sign something because in my mind, I was like, if I sign this, they're just going to take me back and I'll be closer to where my kids are, in New York to Massachusetts. I'm over here on the other side of the country right now. That was just my first instinct, just to sign it. And I think that they saw, oh, look at, she's signing things. So when she comes back, it's going to be a slam dunk. She's going to sign a plea deal, and it's going to be an easy and shut case. Well, we're going to get away with trafficking her children, and then she's going to be the criminal we made her out to be, and case closed. We all walk around, walk our merry ways, and we go to our next victim to traffic. Okay, but what happened was, and when I came back, I was in rough shape. I couldn't even get out of bed. I was unable to shower for I don't even think I brushed my teeth for the first month that I was back, just to show you how much of a rough shape that I was in. Okay. I've come a long way, thankfully, because of God and because of the support of my family, that I will never allow myself to be in a position for that. Because one of the things that my sister said to me was, you have to let that sadness turn to anger, and you have to be angry, show them that you're angry of what they did to you and your children and your family. And so I said, okay, in my mind, I said, I have to turn this around. I have to get up. I have to start fighting for my children. So I turned my grief and everything into fighting full blown, and that's what I've been ever since. So yeah, you see me crying now, which it's not weakness, it's just me being a human being, a mother who grieves for her children. But at the end of the day, they can throw me in jail 100 times. I'm going to get out 101 times, and I'm going to stand up and I'm going to keep going. They can put me in the newspaper with false articles. I know who I am. My family knows who I am. My children know what kind of person and mother I am. So many people in the community know who I am.
And the media, I just want to say, sickening that they're colluding with these monsters who are doing this to people, that they're printing false information and making a story go a certain way. They're rewriting history. Rewriting history, and it shouldn't happen.
But you have, I'm just going to look into the camera, and I know that some of these criminals are probably watching now, or will end up watching in the future, that I am never going to give up. My family is never going to give up, and we're collecting so much damaging, irrefutable, credible evidence against everybody who has trafficked my children, that it's, we're going to get justice for my children. And I am never, ever, ever going to give up, ever. That's not, if anybody knows me, it's that, what's the word, tenacious, when you never give up. If one door closes, I find another. And I have a little bit of stubbornness. I'm a Scorpio, so I'm stubborn. If I believe in something that I know is right, that I know what they're doing is wrong, I'm going to keep going.
But I believe that God is working through each one of us, because children are gifts to families from God. And I believe that God's hand has been on my sister and on my family since day one, even though it's been a struggle. And I tell you, we're going through this struggle for a reason, and it's to help people. It's to help other mothers and other children who are going through the same exact thing.
It's kind of almost like my children are kind of being sacrificed in a way where, hopefully, because of everything that has been done to all of us, the trauma that they're enduring over wherever they are, that we're enduring, that it's going to be used for something, that our pain is going to be turned into a purpose, so that they have that, knowledge that everything that we've been through is going to help somebody. Although, you know, like I said, sometimes I feel like I've sacrificed them, but if that's what I have to do to help other people so this doesn't happen to other, you know, families, then that's something I need to do. So
Don't you think she'd be a good lawyer?
Very good. Yes, incredible. We've said that all the time. Robin, you've said that.
More people like need to be lawyers.
What we're gonna do is we can leave it right there for you guys. I know you've been here longer than you probably set out to be.
Can my brother just say a super quick thing? Sorry.
Yeah.
I just wanted to let Niagara County know that we're going to stay in the proverbial boxing ring for as long as it takes. So bring your best.
And we keep giving us these golden nuggets because you keep giving them to us, and it's incriminating. You're incriminating yourselves. Yeah.
And I'll tell you this: we will probably be your only media, I guess.
Yeah.
So we're here for you whenever. We'll be right by your side doing this, helping you any way you guys need. We're here, even if you need to do something on a Monday, we can do it any day you want, anytime.
So, as far as I know, you always ask how can people help. We kind of like one of the things that we were thinking of in the future, and like I can post updates about this. There's Justice for Olivia and Mason. There's my own private, or not. It's not private. Well, some of it is, but people can access it if it's public post. That we might need help at some point requesting specific documents from a court, for instance, and we would be able to show everybody like how to do it. And not only would it kind of help because, I don't know if you want to discuss more how that would help, like the situation.
It would help a situation if multiple people request the same document. We've been having a really tough time getting, certain documents certified for whatever reason. So if multiple people put in the request for the same document, then
it puts pressure on the court.
It puts pressure on the courts to eventually they're going to have to provide the document to someone.
Yeah.
And additionally, it's going to provide additional witnesses, I guess you could say, that hey, they're not responding to my request. It's going to be an additional witness.
And all it takes is a quick I am requesting this. I mean, we would show you, but it's nothing crazy, nothing major. It would also teach, I think, people in the public how to obtain any kind of public record that they want to get from any court. So I think it would help.
It's very easy.
Yeah,
very easy.
It's a lot easier than people would think it is. Thank you very much for having us. Sorry, I got a little bit emotional, but it kind of think puts a human touch on it because a lot of times I do come on here and I have I have everything together, but the reality is I'm a mother who's grieving for her children who've been punished for protecting them, and maybe it's good that people see this other side of me that I try to push in the back just to keep full head. But thank everybody for your support. I want to also thank people. When I was in jail in November, I had people who were adding money to my commissary account, so thank you for that. I've had people who can send me messages, so when I on the tablet I can read them. So I just want to thank everybody for their support, for their comments, for every single comment I read, I take to heart. I might not have the chance to respond to it as quickly as I would like, but I just really appreciate it, and I just can't wait to be able to tell my children all the wonderful people who supported us and helped us to bring them home.
Yeah, they'll be home soon, right? Yeah, very soon. Yeah, it's going to happen because they're not.
I shared it with you guys before the show started, but I just wanted to say, my niece Cadence, who's now 7, with Christmas coming up, it's hard because Christmas is all about family, and our family's not complete until my children come home. But my 7-year-old niece, that's Christina's daughter, she just said, if I could just have Mason and Olivia come home, my cousins, I don't even want anything else but that for Christmas, is to be reunited with my cousins. And she hasn't seen them in close to almost 5 years now. And last time she saw them, she was 3. And so it's time for them to be reunited and for our family to be complete.
Yeah, it's way overdue.
If you're not, follow the Justice for Olivia Mason Facebook page. It's something that everybody needs to follow and look at. And there's a lot of updates and everything on that page, and it'll help you understand what's going on.
Yeah. So guys, Have a safe holiday season. I know I know what you mean. I understand. It's not the way it's supposed to be. So just try to take it easy. And I know it's probably gonna be a break in the action because those people like to take days off a lot. So they'll be on vacation and everything else. Well, you come on anytime you want. Just tell me, you want to come on January 8th, come on January 8th, whatever you want, any Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever. You guys are more than welcome.
Dennis too, because Dennis, switched his date. I think he was supposed to come on today. So thank you for being flexible and going on Wednesday instead. I appreciate that. So.
No problem. All right.
Thank you, John. Thank you, everybody.
Guys, take care. Well,
thank you. Bye. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
And that was Katie, Heaven, and Christina
I
Riford.
really feel for her. Like around the holidays has to be the toughest.
Yeah.
It has to be like extremely tough. I can't even imagine.
She doesn't even know where her
Yeah.
kids are. She doesn't know
what's
she
going
doesn't
on.
know
Yeah, they
anything.
might not even be in Mass. Who knows
Right.
where they
She
are?
has no idea.
Yeah. People don't get it.
No.
They just, and I can't, man, you're sitting around and everything's good. Just think about it. They're at one point, their life was good.
Yeah.
It was normal.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say, why are people like Janelle Foss allowed to have her kids when
Well,
she's married to a predator, a pedophile?
Right.
But that's safe to have kids. She does cocaine like nothing, but I mean, that's drugs and pedophiles and stuff. That's okay.
yeah, we've been
To have
having,
kids.
me and Robin been having some discussions very similar lately about, let me just say, if karma is real, it doesn't show itself. And to tell you the truth, it might just be bullshit to make people feel good because I personally, I don't see it happening anywhere.
Well, karma sometimes follows you into your next life.
Maybe
Oh,
that's,
Jesus.
oh God. Yeah.
Sorry, but
I don't have that kind of time.
All right. So on Wednesday, we're going to have a special show. You'll see Dennis Hannon will be with me. She's normally going to be here on Mondays doing a little segment. We knew tonight was going to go long. So Wednesday, he'll be on at 6:00. Join us. And Dennis has a whole thing about the southern border, a whole write-up. He's got so much stuff.
That
I can't
be
wait.
Very interesting.
Yeah. He's so a brilliant guy. It's going
Don't
to be good.
forget the Niagara Action page is being run by Nicholas D'Angelo and his father David D'Angelo. There, I posted the proof and everything on my Facebook, right there in plain sight. So do not follow, like, or share anything from that page.
Yeah. And everyone, we won't be back until January 8th.
Yeah.
So, other shows will be on, but our show happens to just be on Christmas and New Year's. So obviously we're not doing nothing. So everyone be safe out there. If you got anything going on, always contact Noelle on her page, Citizens United page, myself, Robin, Gail, anybody. We'll be there. But we'll be back January 8th. Take care, everyone. Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.